Hello, subscribers. Welcome to another subscriber show, number 66. Counting down the weeks to me in a red trackie for number 100. We're going to get stuck into all the stuff we mentioned on the main show that we didn't get to. As always, starting, I've moved stuff around a bit because I want to start with the middle-aged Moans stuff. And as always, we'll go off on tangents. We always end up chatting about stuff between the two shows, and I'm constantly like, let's save that for the show. I used to do that on the rap all the time. I wanted to talk about the middle-aged Moan stuff first, though, because I was watching. It's probably the only podcast I watch regularly now. The Neville and Keane and Wright and Carragher on, but Carragher hasn't been on it during the Euros. But Roy Keane is slowly becoming one of my favourite humans. I think I just generally like his attitude. I've realised recently, because I've like become so obsessed over the past few years with, like studying psychology and emotions and human behaviour and all that, and that has its own downsides anyway. But I just love it when I come across someone who doesn't seem arsed by any of that and has just sort of figured out life to a decent level. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And I feel like Roy Keane's one of those people. Like I heard him say the other week. And bear in mind, he's older than us, but he's basically a middle-aged Irish fella who used to be a footballer. Doesn't look like he's ever been asked about any of the personal development stuff or anything. And he said something that like you see on social media stuff all the time. Like he said to Gary Neville, he went, "Remember, Gary, no is a full sentence." I was like, what's that?
Yeah.
Because like I've been trying to learn that for ages. We're always trying to make everyone like us if you want to say no to something, it's like, oh, well, here's why, and here's the explanation. I don't want to hurt your feelings, and I still want you to like me. And I've seen loads of people like online going like, and whenever they say it, I'm always a bit like, yeah, but fuck off. You're not doing that in real life, are you? You're telling us to do it, but are you really? When someone's inviting you to their kid's christening, just replying no. Like. There's a massive difference between thinking about you can do that in real life and actually doing it. But when Keane talks about stuff, he tends to talk about stuff. And don't get me wrong, he's still a lunatic in certain ways. And Robbo sent me a link before saying Steve Coogan's going to be playing Mick McCarthy in a movie about his walking out from the Irish camp. Is it next year? That's coming out, did it say?
I didn't see when it was coming out, like. But yeah, just mad that there's a Roy Keane film essentially.
Yeah, but the ones he was saying last week, and it's just the way he says it. It's just boss. Like he was saying, like, everyone wants a hug all the time. No, I don't want to hug you. Me hugs are for me wife, me kids, me dogs. That's it. But then it went on from there. It was like doesn't like handshakes. He's like handshakes. It's like shaking everyone's hand all the time. He went, shake your hand today. I'll see you tomorrow. I don't need to shake your hand again. I saw you yesterday. And then the last one he said, which just really made me laugh, like someone, Joe, they're up on like a balcony recording this thing. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
And someone waved to them. And he's like, waving.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And Jill Scott was like, just wave back to them for fuck's sake. And he went to them. He went to her. You wave your other hand for me.
I've seen him going on about cars or people parking cars. I like that. I've seen that clip. That's from the same show. Is it? Yeah. Where he said like people who just don't give a shit because they've got money.
Yeah.
And we've all seen that, haven't you? Where they just park where they like and like I'm not asked if I get a ticket because I know I can afford to pay it. So this will do. He's like, well, what do you think you should be able to do, Roy, about that? Slash the tires. And then like when everyone sort of like looked at him to say maybe you want to tone that down a bit, he said, I'll just bend the windscreen wipers then. But you know what I mean? Like I enjoy that though, is right, because like stuff like that does my head in. Being an inconsiderate bastard in any way, I just don't get it. And we talked about it on here ages ago, didn't we? When I was saying about like people who just let the dog shite and then they just fucking walk off, leave a big pile of crap there for some kids or some gran or whatever to fucking pile through. What are you doing, you knobhead? You got a dog. Dog shit. They don't wipe their ass. They don't go the bog. So you have to box it off, you fucking bellend. Don't just leave it there. And that, as you can see, that infuriates me. And it, at the moment now, I live by Crosby Beach. And so I go down there regularly, I'll have a walk and all that. And like, the amount of fucking inconsiderate pricks that go on the beach, light a fucking barbecue and all that, and then just leave the shit and fuck off. And it's like, at what point does your brain say that sound? Who's sorting that out, you fucking knob? Do you know what I mean? Why have you gone on a beach, done that, and then when it's all done, just gone, leave that, sound that? No, it's not sound. Sort it out, it's your shit.
This is a conversation, like a society conversation that expands on a household conversation. So when I first started living with Siobhan, we had a conversation, she's messier than me, which was a problem in my previous relationship as well. And that's always, like, it doesn't matter how messy you are, there's usually someone messier than the other one in a relationship, aren't there? And I went to her, look, this is the way, after having years of arguing about it, I'm not going to do that anymore. But this is the way I'd look at it if I was you. Like, if we live together, and if you leave shit out, think about what you're implying. Like, who do you think should clear that up?
Exactly that.
Because what you're implying is, I should clear up your shit.
Yeah.
Why should I? And I just left it at that. And I remember months later her saying to me, like, it really hit home that, you know, because every time I started leaving stuff out, I had this little voice in my head going, yeah, who are we thinking should clean this up? Mm-hmm. If we're not going to clean it up, Paul by default has to. And that's not fair. It's that conversation on a wider scale, isn't it? Like, imagine if you just could catch someone just as they're doing it and say to them, just to stop, who do you think should clear that up now? Because presumably you think somebody should. Because otherwise, the beach, if we all did that, the beach is going to be covered in shit.
Exactly.
And presumably you don't want the beach to be covered in shit. So just out of interest, who is it you think is going to clear that up?
Exactly. Because as you've just articulated, the reason you came here in the first place with your family is because you like it, because it's good, because it's picturesque, because it's a beach, because it's by the sea, and you come down to enjoy it. So if that beach was just covered in thousands of disposable barbecues, well, would you come anymore? No. So fucking pick it up and get rid. Like, you know, what I do and what I have done in the past and all that, you're obviously like, some of it's like touched on marketing and some of it's touched on like campaigns and all that. And we were talking about something in work a few weeks ago about, you know, just like messaging and stuff that's quite good and quite clever and a little bit out the box or whatever, outside the box. And there's a sign on Crosby Beach that I quite like, because if you think about like where we are and everything else, and it's like, don't be a scruff, take your stuff. And it's like, it's not far off calling you a meth, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That'd be the next step. And like, there's another one, and I think that's Sefton as well, and it's WFT, which obviously makes you like look or whatever. Then you're like, hang on, have they done some advertising saying what the fuck? Oh no, WFT, why fly to? Because that's another one that fucking infuriates me as well. And I saw some lads doing that one night, and like it was just one of them where I was instantly triggered, and I wanted to do something about it, and then like, you know, of it, like quickly processed the situation and thought, like, I can't stop and say something because there's like 4 of them. It's like 1 a.m. and there's me and it's a dark country lane. Yeah. So how's that gonna go? Yeah. But like, again, like, you just fucking selfish prick. I nearly sent you a thing that I saw the other day, and then I realised it was old. I don't know, or maybe I did send you. I can't remember now. But it'd been sort of like re-upped. It had like been given a new life on the internet. Did I send you
the tyre one?
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking brilliant, that, wasn't it? Did you watch it?
I haven't watched it, but I read the article.
So basically, like, for those that haven't seen it, it's like I say, it's an old story, but it was a fella in Haydock, which is not too far away, who has got a farm, and he was regularly having problems with people fly tipping. And like, he'd done what he could to, you know, prevent this, and he put cameras up, whatever, and it was still happening. And obviously over time, this is doing his head in, as it would do with anyone. And I love it when there's like righteous anger over something, do you know what I mean? And what he's done, this fella, some other fella's gone to his farm, his land, and dumped. And he says the number, doesn't he, on the video, which is brilliant as well. He says the exact number of tyres that get dumped on his land. And he finds out presumably from like registration, whatever. Maybe, you know, put stuff on Facebook. I don't know. However he did it anyway, found out the person who had dumped all these tyres on his land, got in touch with them and said, do you want to get rid of the tyres that you've dumped on my land? They didn't respond. They didn't do anything about it. So he went to their house and put all the tyres in the front garden. And like, they weren't left on the road or anything like that. They were all on his property. And like, you know, it's just all, it's boss, the video's boss. It's just like this truck pulls up, all these lads jump out and they're just like, fuck off, pardon all these tyres up. And like, I just watched it and like, I just love stuff like that. Do you remember that fella who had the, and it was another farmer, wasn't it? Can't remember the details of it going back years. But he had a dispute with the bank and and it went on and on and on and whatever. And like, I can't actually remember the details now, so I'm hoping it was righteous anger. But either way, as part of his dispute with the bank, he drove a muck spreader down there and just sprayed shit all over the front of the bank.
Oh, that does ring a bell, yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
And I feel like Keane's often like that, isn't he? Like, I feel like that's what I like about him, is that a lot of his anger is righteous, but he definitely the grump thing definitely borders into some mad places at times. Like, you're like, wasn't he saying like parties were shit once or something like that?
We talked about this months ago, didn't we? Like, there are other ones he's talked about, and he was just like, just too loud. And you're like, but someone said the other day, barbecue. That might be Neville, but barbecues, don't like barbecues. But you know, just going back a minute for what you were saying then, do you know about the fly tipping thing? Did you the thing I've never understood about fly tipping? They're already putting stuff in a van and taking it somewhere. That's the bit I don't get. Do you again, if you could have the conversation with them? Is that all it is? It's like what we'd have to pay because it's.
Well, I imagine some of it's not. Like, some of it'll just be people being a lazy bastard.
Just can't be asked going, because I've always been like, you just can't be asked going all the way to the tip. Just
There'll
go to the
definitely
tip.
be some of that as well. Like, but I think if you're a van and you've got a business, you need like a license, which I think you have to pay for, etc., etc., etc. And so that's my understanding, because I remember taking a load of gear to the tip once, and the fella was like, it was like 101 questions, like, what is that and where's it come from and all this kind of gear, like, and you're like, what the hell, never used to be like this. So it has got stricter. But yeah, it's just messy, innit? And like, when it's in like, to go back and make the same point again, which I love to do, when it's like your own community though, like where you live, like what are you doing? Why would you want to live in a shit tip? Why would you want to wake up in the morning and be fucking dog shit all over the pavement right outside your house or whatever? And often, I've seen it where someone's dog's done that and like they've fucked it off and just left it and walked away, and they've got kids, and you're like, so hang on, if your kid came home covered in shite, you'd be fuming, wouldn't you? Fucking instant. I don't know. I just can't process it. It does me head. And like. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I've often thought this about like Joe, like, because we've just had the election, which it is funny. That just seems to shows out. Maybe I've become apathetic towards it all as well, but which is dangerous. But an election goes by and you just sort of passes you by. But I've often thought that, when you think about what policies would you bring in, and I've often thought like, why does no one ever try and like get pride in local communities? Do you know what I mean? There never seems to be any initiatives like around stuff like that. Like, just get some pride. Everyone feel better with a bit of like pride about where they live.
At local level, you do get things like that. Like, I used to sort of trying to think of a way of saying this where no one will get a cobweb with me. I used to, let's just say, I used to knock around an area that's easier, where the local councillor got like very involved in trying to make people active and to insert a bit of pride in, and he organised himself. People like tidying up like the local park, litter picking, things like that. But the best thing I thought about him is not only did he get off his arse and arrange those things, if you were around that area regularly, you would see him on his own, in his own time, like watering plants and picking shit up himself. And it made me think, well, that's not for show, is it? Like when he's organising the group, he's not just organising the group, putting it on Twitter and go, look what I did. in his own time at all hours when no one's looking or watching,
Yeah.
he's still doing it.
Yeah.
So he genuinely has got local pride, pride for his community and everything else. And fair play, like old school, like someone standing up and leading a community, if you like. So yeah, I'm right behind stuff like that as well. And bigger shows and all that, but like, the society's 100% changed, hasn't it? And like maybe has to be now managed in a different way. But I don't know where I'm going with that point. But
maybe that's something we should do. Do you like we talked about on the main show about? Because I've done this in the past. We talked on the main show about like starting a walking group or something. Maybe I've talked about this in the past about like when you've got to be in your bonnet about something and you're pissed off about it or whatever, and you're like, well, do something about it then. I've mentioned a few times about campaigning for Labour a few years ago and stuff. That was just, I was like, fucking stop sitting on your arse and moaning about it and get up and do something about it. Because at least then you've done something and you're not just complaining. Maybe we should do something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like just get a gang of people together and like, let's go out and do something.
I'd love to do stuff like that, yeah. I mean, it was something I was trying to, like, through me two penance thing in work, saying like, is there not a way that we could have a day as like a team? But I know that's not an original thought, but I just wanted them to do it. I was like, could we have a team day where we go and do like a beach clean up or something like that, like give something back type of thing? And they were up for it, to be fair. As far as I know, it is meant to be getting sorted. I think stuff like that is good. I mean, I've looked a few times, but then just not got, and took the next step. But it's there in the long list of things, to do. I've put that, there is like a Friends of Crosby Beach who do go and pick shit up. And they shouldn't have to, but they do. And it's good that they do, and, well in. And I've thought a few times I should go and do that. I actually bought, I think that was during COVID, I bought them thingios, litter picker things, and like it's been, and my idea was I was going to like go out with the kids and pick shit up. I've done it occasionally myself, just sort of rounding about where I'm living, but I've never actually armed the kids with them and made them go out and do it. They probably laugh at me now because they're all cool teenager age and all that. But no, there's something good about that, isn't there? And about making people think. But equally, I think some people just seem to be a little bit of a lost cause. Like, I mean, just don't get some of the behaviour, you see. But yeah,
that's a deeper conversation, isn't it? That goes back to programming to me. Like, the problem is when you've been raised in that environment, that's just what you're used to. It's like you don't know any better. And that sounds like that gets lost on a lot of people. I'm like, you've got to understand the psychology to get into that. That like it's almost they don't see it. Do you know what I mean? They're just numb to it because it's like, well, what else is there? This is just the way you live, isn't it? And that's part of the problem.
It can become ingrained, can't it? So like, if a set of parents are like that for whatever reason, then the kid sees that behaviour, repeats that behaviour. Well, this, and then on we go.
It ties into something I was going to say actually, but you've just reminded me of a story. So when I used to work for the big law firms when I was a lawyer, I might have mentioned this in the past. We used to do like community stuff. So this was a huge, the height of capitalism, corporate law firm. But we did school reading schemes. So we used to go to a school in the Dingle and read with the kids and stuff like that. Oh. And we'd do like things like go and paint youth centres and stuff. And there was a big part of me enjoyed doing it because it was good. And then the cynical side of me was always like, which ended up being the case. The boss of the entire company got knighted for services services to charity. And I remember saying at the time, that just fucking sums up the system now, doesn't it? I never once saw him fucking reading with a kid or painting a fucking youth centre of his weekend. We just did it in his name and he got the knighthood, and you're like, fuck off, you knobhead. Yeah. But I remember once, it wasn't me, but someone was with us on the school reading scheme, asked the kid they were reading with, what did they want to be when they grew up? And he said, I want to play on my PlayStation. And they went, no, I don't mean like, do you know what you want to do for fun? I mean, what you want to do as a job? And he went, my granddad just played on his PlayStation all the time. And my dad just plays on his PlayStation all the time. So that's what I want to do. I remember this person telling us all this story, Joe, going back to the office, and you just like, it was heartbreaking because it's exactly what you've just said. This was a kid, and if you don't understand how that can happen, look at that. Like, not just his dad, his granddad.
Yeah.
Like, that's all he's seen. Is like his male role models were just sitting in the house unemployed playing computer games all day. So he was like, well, I'll do that too then. That looks sound.
Yeah.
And you're like, fucking hell. And that was in fairness, that was the point of the reading scheme. It was like, you could see the kids' faces when you're like, this gang of people turned up in suits and smart clothes and all that. And they're like, what's this? And then you tell them about what you do and all that, and just giving them a taste of something different in a different world.
We mate always tells this story about something he saw once, and he said it was like a grandma, and like, you know, and it was like the nan, the mum, and the daughter, and they're all out together shopping. Like, they're all sort of like, you know, talking loudly to each other as they're walking through the middle of the shopping area. And the nan says something along the lines of, I want to go and get something from that Herod. And the daughter goes in front of the mum and to the nan, it's Herod, you fucking knobhead. And it's funny, isn't it? But equally, you're like, how's that happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. How we got to that place.
How's the daughter calling the nan a knobhead or whatever? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, I thought, what's the standards in that gaff going on? How have we reached there?
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
they are the moments, aren't they, where you're like, yeah, I live in a different world to you. Imagine if you'd have turned around to your nan when you were a kid and called her a fucking knobhead.
Yeah. Multiple volleyings from granddad.
Yeah, from multiple people. Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
What? Anyway, the whole point of me raising that was I had the middle-aged moan, and we've gone off track into other ones, but this actually I think it was Neville mentioned it on the same show I was talking about, but it's been on my list to mention for ages.
I actually didn't read this.
Have you seen this one? Like, and it happened to me it's happened to me twice in the past few weeks, and you know what I'm like on WhatsApp these days. Like, I've been like drastically taking myself away from WhatsApp and groups and all that. I'm not in any group. The one we're in with me, you and Matt on this is my most active group in inverted commas, and there's only 3 of us in that. Everything else that had like multiple people in, I can't be arsed with anymore. Like, it would just be one of those things. There's just loads of messages every day, and just like, I can't be arsed. Like, let's just message me if you need me about for something. But the one I hate, and I genuinely was thinking about this. When we were looking before the election of like, what was the guy, Looney Bin or whatever his name is, the one who always runs for one of the seats.
Monster Raven Looney Party.
No, but there's another one, isn't there? Count Binface. Yeah. My brain always does that, doesn't it? Like, it brings 2 things together. Count Binface and a Monster Raven Looney Party, Looney Bin man. Is the fact that you can just be added to WhatsApp groups without your permission. I fucking hate it. It's an absolute disgrace. Like, what? How is that? How are you able to just add me to something without asking me? And then I just start getting bombarded with messages. I got one. I can say it behind the Patreon paywall safely, I think. But I got added to one by one of my auntie's mates a few weeks ago. And it like comes up at the top, Joe. Even when you see the title, you're like, what the fuck is this? And it's like, Joe, 40th vow renewals. And I opened it and I was reading out the messages to Siobhan, but doing it dead like, Joe, like a robotic voice. And she's just laughing because it's just like, the first messages were just, no, like, there wasn't like an opening message saying, hi everyone, just to let you know, blah, 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 we're renewing our vows, I'd like to invite you all to, it was just set up and then like a mad random message. And then I think there was a link to something else in fairness, which I didn't click on. But the first message was someone going, who's this babe? And then like someone else who's been added randomly and doesn't even know who it is. And then the person replying going, I won't say her actual name, but saying like, it's Susan babe, lol. And then the other person going, oh lol, I didn't know it was you. And you're like, why the fuck am I reading this shit? Why is this my life?
Yeah.
What? fuck off, leave me alone.
I know. I think it's an underrated skill to think about how that impacts other people. Because it does seem like there are loads of people now walking among us who think it's sound to just set up massive groups with loads of people in and go, that's sound that.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, hang on. I'm now receiving shitloads of notifications that I never asked for at all times as well. Like, like weekends or, like someone creates a work group and it's not work time and all that. And you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I'm with you on that. I would put that into room 101.
There we go. I've noticed this they were doing room 101 on that podcast. They're doing it on Have a Word at the moment. I was like, well, this is our equivalent, isn't it? And we've been doing it longer, so fuck off. One of my uncles, whilst I'm having a fucking rant about it, one of my uncles does it. He does that, and then he gets a cob on with people who don't reply. And you're like, no, hang on. You can't insert yourself in other people's lives and then be pissed off with them for not replying to you.
Yeah.
It's not on me to reply to you. If you invite me to something and I don't reply, that's a no. And I might just start saying that to people. Generally, I might change my WhatsApp setting to that during the intro. If you add me to a group and I will immediately remove myself. Or if you invite me to something and I don't reply, that's me saying no. I have to this is the lawyer in me. If you want me to enter into a contract, I have to positively reply to your fucking request. You can't expect it. The burden isn't on me to say no. And that's the thing I hate. It's like, well, it only takes 2 minutes. Like, it only takes 2 minutes to reply to your message. And what about everybody else's fucking messages?
Yeah. No, I agree that is annoying. Constantly creating more groups, putting loads of people in them. And then like they're reacting and they're saying this and what about, or where it's like, you're being thrown into one and then 2 people are using the group to have a conversation.
That always
and
happens.
there's loads of yous in it. And you're like, this isn't even...
Take this off.
It's not relevant for me, this.
Yeah.
So just have a chat.
Message each other.
Do you know what? I just think we're in a mad place, generally. I've been thinking about this and I said something about it in work today, actually. Like, we're in a place now where so much communication is WhatsApp, email, whatever. And it's like, there's less and less and less like actual face-to-face and phone calls. And it's just like, the de facto go-to is, I'll send this email or whatever. Like, I got one about something and it was like this big massive thing. And it had that annoying thing that we talked about the other week where you preface it with, like some kind of jolly intro, like, hope you're well, or hope you're enjoying the sunshine. I'm now going to get fucking stuck into your 2-footed because I'm pissed off about X. Big fucking essay follows. And it's like, do you know what? All of that, if you just picked the phone up and said, what happened here then? And I'd tell you, and then it'd be done. And I wouldn't have to compose a fucking essay back. And then you wouldn't have to copy someone else in and all that bollocks. Like, that just absolutely bores me. And like, I think because I've been doing like a corporate-ish job for 6 months or so, I found myself like pulled into it, and I'm doing it. And I just thought I was working from home on Friday, and I had a list of things that I wanted to do. And one of them was to check out like whether this certain thing was a story or not. And I started like writing an email. Then I thought, I best check with blah blah. Actually, started writing them an email. That one's gone into drafts. Then I was like, do we need to send that though? Well, and then like that, not making a decision about whether to send that or that. And then I thought, I should fucking ring him. What am I doing? Fuck that off. I am H, fancy this. Yeah. You actually still, yeah. Oh, Sam, do you want to meet up on Thursday then? Boss, done. And I was like, that could have dragged on forever, that, in mad email chains. And I've just sorted it in no time at all. But honestly, like, it feels like culturally that we've ended up in this mad place of like sending far too many electronic messages of one sort or another. 100%. That was a proper old fella comment, that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I just to go off on a tangent, I had a boss thing. We were buzzing off it on that walk that we did at the weekend. We kept hearing like snippets of conversations, you know what I mean? Because like loads of people were going past on bikes. And if you got onto like when people are having conversations on bikes, obviously like they shout because they're not next to each other or whatever. So we were getting loads of snippets of conversations, and loads of them were like people having a go at each other. or like little passive aggressive things. And we got on one and it was dead funny. It was like the full fam was out for a day out, and it was obviously the ma who'd made it happen. And like the da was there, like lagging behind, like the ma and the kid, like even like sort of the method of his bike ride, and said, "This is the last thing in the world I want to be doing."
Yeah.
And we went past them a couple of times because like they'd stopped, I don't know, to like feed the kid. Then they went past it again, so we got like another snippet of it. And like the second snippet of the same family we got was she was saying to him, it's better that you're out doing something than just being on that machine all day. And I was like, machine is such a like we talk about like middle-aged men and things. He said, and I've just said one. That's like one I've heard, like, you know, I said to me mates, that'll mean an Xbox, that.
Yeah.
Won't it?
That's an Xbox or a PlayStation,
so that's him, like, sat, he wants, his Sunday is, he wants to be sat off playing Xbox.
Yeah.
And his wife's forced him to go on a bike ride.
Yeah.
And she's now doubling down on the point that this is better use of your time than being on that machine. I love that. Anyway.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I do love that. You've just reminded me as well, though, the line in a movie I watched the other day, which is great, where a kid says to their mum coming to a wedding, like about their dad, who's the ex-husband, like, don't be passive aggressive to him this weekend. And the mum replies, "Can I be aggressive?" And I love that, because the number of times people go to me, they were being passive aggressive then, man. They weren't. They were just being aggressive. Proper aggressive. It's funny because I was having a rant about the WhatsApp thing, a little voice just popped into my head saying, someone's going to comment on this saying, you can turn that off, you know. And why have I never looked into that? Isn't that mad? For intelligent people, surely you can, because I thought to myself, surely WhatsApp, you can turn that off, letting people add you to groups.
Can you?
I've just looked it up, yeah, you can.
Oh, well, there you go. Everyone's learned something new.
There we go, everyone. You can go into your privacy settings and make group. Do you know what's great as well? Oh, I'm gonna fucking love this. Here we go. This is a present to all of you out there if you're in the same way of thinking as me and Robbo on this. When you can put, it's automatically on iPhones. Who can add me to groups? It's defaulted to everyone. You can change it to my contacts or nobody. So if someone tries to add you to a group after you've put this on, they'll see an invite friend button instead. When they tap on it, you'll receive an invite to join the group as a personal message. The message they get is, can't add Paul. You can invite them privately to join this group. I love that.
There you go. Solved.
It's nice, that.
Yeah. Because I didn't know that, because I get like, I think my phone number must have like arrived in some mad places, because I think I've said before, I get spammed to death by, oh my God.
What's happening?
I'm getting spammed now by one of the numbers. That's what always happens. It rings about 5 times, goes off. And like when you ring it back, it's some absolute bollocks. Like, and it's always,
I've been getting one
it's
lately.
always like 0843, something like that. And it's absolute shite. Like, and like I've tried blocking them, but it obviously just like, you know,
they have different numbers to get
another head pops up from somewhere else and rings you again.
Yeah.
But I went to a stage of not only getting them, but I was getting like group invites for like cryptocurrency shite and all that. And then I even got one where I got added to the group and I immediately removed myself from the group. And then I got a phone call saying, you know, like, I believe you're interested in whatever. And I was like, I'm a fuck, don't ring me again, you bellend.
Yeah. I've had, there's some company keeps leaving me messages. And the way they do it, and I fucking hate this, is they pretend as if we've already had a conversation. And the first time they did it, when you're like,
what?
I don't remember talking to you about that. And then I've had like 10 messages since. I'm like, you cheeky fuckers. So I am half tempted to answer it to them now. To say to them, if you phone my fucking phone again, I'm going to come down and spray shit all over your fucking building.
And leave a load of tyres in your front garden.
Yeah. Well, that went well. I didn't expect to score that.
Good agenda, this lad. Views on marmalade.
I know. Well, I'm going to skip a moment because I want to get onto some kid stuff that's come up this week, honestly, because it was making me laugh. Me and Siobhan were both. Did this ever happen to you when you had you've got another little one now. I don't know whether this has started happening to you yet again, but did this happen to you when your other two were little? Do you know when you're saying to kids, because obviously if kids can eat chocolate all the time, they would. So you have to be as parents, responsible parents, you have to be strict on treats. So it's like, no, you can't have fucking ice cream for breakfast. You can have, if you're good today, you can have a treat after dinner and blah, blah, blah. So June, you've been doing all that. And then it's the middle of the day. And especially now the kids have broken up, so they're at home. It's the middle of the day. And I'm like, yeah, but I fucking want a chocolate biscuit here. So I found myself the other day sneaking into the kitchen of my own house that I pay for. Sneaking into the kitchen while the kids are downstairs doing other things. Sneaking fucking chocolate biscuits out the cupboard. Walking into the living room with them behind me fucking back. As a 44-year-old man in my own house, walking in, Siobhan sitting there and laughing to her going, the way I'm sneaking around to get chocolate biscuits in my own house here. And she was laughing going, yeah, I want one as well. But we can't let the boys see us because they'll want one then and they can't have one. Have you? Is that a common experience?
I've had it where I've not quite done that, but I've done the one where like, you know, where I'd like one of them, like, you know, like the tall fridges, if you like. So I've been behind the door snacking on stuff and then just had it in my mouth and shut the door and I'll just make a cup of tea there and you know, done it that way. But yeah, you have to, don't you? Because like, you know, you've got to sort of like, you know, lead by example or whatever, haven't you? Because they don't get it. They don't get it if like you're like, well, this is just for that. You can't explain it. You can't. This is the thing. What was I saying the other day? Oh, that was it. Yeah, I was talking to one of my mates and I was saying, Ollie at the moment is in this phase of, you know, everything's like, why? So he's doing that, and I remember that phase. But he's also doing when you tell him a fact about something, he'll go, it's not. And you're like, well, it is though, isn't it? You know what I mean? And like, we had a day out on Thursday, me and him, and it was Boston, like, you know, went on the ferry, had a mooch round town, all that kind of stuff. Great, like, and we got the train in to town, and we were talking about trains and all that, and on the way in. And for some reason, he started going on about like bridges, and he was saying, he started saying like trains don't go over bridges. And I said, no, they do. I said, we're going to go over some bridges now on the way into town, so I'll show you. And he said, no, they go on tracks. And I'm like, yeah, but the track is on the bridge.
I love when kids do this, when they say it like, but they say it like they look you in the eyes, don't they? And go like, no, like idiot.
Yeah.
If they could go that far, they'd be like, fuck, who's this fucking idiot like, here?
And I'm like, so the track is on the bridge? And he's like, it's not. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll show you. And so like, you know, get down by like Sandhills or whatever. And obviously I know that just before the station, we're going to go over a bridge. So I'm like, yeah, I'll look out the window now and you see cars, they're coming under that. That's a bridge. So right now, the train is on a bridge. It's not. And I'm like, well, it is, isn't it? And like, you just have to like check in with yourself, don't you? Going like, hang on, I'm talking to a 3.5-year-old lad here.
Yeah.
Can't get triggered by him questioning, you know, my knowledge of tracks on a bridge. But it's just like, it's just everything. It's like, you know, like playing footy with him. And I was like, yeah, you don't pick it up with your hands. You know, like you just use your feet. And he's like, no, you can use your hands as well. And I'm like, well, that's not football then. Because I was trying to teach him to like, he's got like a little goal in the back and it's only small, which I think is good because, you know, like accuracy and all that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, so you kick it from further and further away, keep trying to get it in the goal. And he's just like picking it up, putting it close, putting it down and booting it in. And I was like, no. And you can't pick it up. You know, you've got to use your hands unless you're the goalie. And he's like, no, you can use your hands. So I'm like... You can't!
We should film that. When we talk about stuff we should film, watching you arguing with a mini version of you would be like classic TV.
Yeah.
But that's something I do love about little kids. Like our 4-year-olds like that. He's just like, I had a little conversation with him the other day. Like we were watching, and his big brother fucking hates this now. So the little one's 4 and the older one's 6. But so when I met them, the older one was 4 and he was doing the exact same thing. If you're watching a film with them that he's seen before, he would just narrate the whole thing 2 minutes before you get to it. Is that a common thing? I don't remember my nephew doing that, but they both did it. So like he'd be like, so what happens now is this, and what happens next is this. Now the other one's 6, he just wants to sit and watch. But when his little brother does it, he's like, tell him to shut up. He's doing me head in. And I'm like, you did this when you were 4 as well, though. Just leave him. It's fine. Me and the little one were just watching something at the weekend. And I was like, come on, your brother's on YouTube. Me and you will just watch one of your favourites together. I've seen this film like 5 times now. Do you know what I mean? But he's talking to me like I've never seen it. And he's telling me all about it. And I'm going to him because he sounds like your little lad. He's very certain of everything. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, this is what happens next. And then it would happen. And he'd go, I told you, didn't I? I told you that's what happens. And I was like, and I went to him, it's amazing that, how do you know all this? And he's like, I just remember, I've just got a great memory, haven't I? And then it was dead funny because like the lawyer and me, as we're leading up, because I know later on what's going to happen. Later on, he's misbehaving. And I went, how many times have we told you not to do that? And he went, I can't remember. And I went, I thought you had a great memory. He went, what? And when you're doing that thing where, and I do love that, you're like
building an
argument. You're chatting to a 4-year-old and you're building in, and he's like, no, but even his answer was boss, because as I went through, and you said before when we were watching the movie, you've got a great memory. But isn't it funny, you've got a great memory for the films you like and for the things you want to do, but for the things we don't want you to do, you can never remember them. And he went, well, just some things I can remember and some things I can't. I was like, yeah, great answer.
The memories are like amazing though, aren't they? And we were constantly talking about sort of our lack of. And so, like, to be knocking around with someone who's recall is amazing, because I've had that where it's like, so like with Oliver, like you take him out and like he always wants to go to like the amusement arcade when you walk past that, and I can't be bothered taking him in there because he's in there then for ages and he wants to go on everything a million times and it's dead hard to get him back out of it. So when we walk past it on coming in, I'll go. He'll mad us to go in and be like, come on, Dad, let's go in there now. And I'll be like, no, we'll just go in there later. And what he did the last time I tried to use that trick is when we did loads of stuff, we were out for hours, whatever. When we were coming back to the car, which was near the amusement arcade again, he was like, you said later, Dad. And I was like, didn't think he'd remember that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a dangerous game to play.
But like he remembers like proper like he hadn't been to like my flat for a while, and he's got all these like Marvel figures and all that. And I got out what I thought were all of the figures, and there's loads of them, and there was one missing, and he was like, "That's not there. Black Panther or whatever's not there." And I was like, "Oh, you must have took that one to your mum's, like Black Panther's not here." And he's like, "No, it's here. It's definitely here." And then like. He kept going on, and I said, "It's not." And then I was thinking, he's just doing that thing where he's getting a cob on because he wants to play with that, and it's not here, but it's not actually here. And then it was there. I found it, and he was like, "See, I told you." And I was like, "How's he remembered that? There's loads of them." And then yesterday, he's smashing he's boxed off the toilet thing now, which is great. Like, and out of nowhere yesterday, he went to the toilet. Washing his hands, and he goes to use the towel, and it wasn't there, and he's like, "Where's the yellow towel?" And I'm like, the specificness of this, and I was like, "It's in the wash. Hang on, I'll get you one." And then he's like, "Yeah, oh, that's the grey one though. Where's the yellow one?" I just don't think I'd remember stuff, or I wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? But he's remembering or taking in all this information. It's boss in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think that's what I love trying to get in. Like when you're trying to teach them stuff, or I always try and get inside their heads because it's like, well, there's certain things they don't know yet. So you can be saying something to them, and I can see in their eyes. I'll check in now and go, "Do you even know what I mean? Like, do you know what such a thing is?" And then sometimes they go, "No." Yeah. I think it's mad, that, isn't it? The number of adults who'll just be talking to kids, and the kids inside their own heads are thinking, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about here. Like, I don't know what that is. But that ties into so I thought it was funny to ask you, see if your kids have said anything funny like this. Our eldest, so he started going to kickboxing. He went a while ago, and he started going again. And Siobhan said to me last week, did you hear what he said to me? And I went, no. She said he's just there, and he's quite like the youngest is very like action orientated, likes doing stuff and all that. But the eldest is very philosophical, like the stuff going on in his head. And I laugh because I'm like chatting away to a 6-year-old. Do you know what I mean? I walked in the other like a few weeks ago, getting him ready for school, and he went to me something like, Paul, and he went, do you ever like wonder why we're here?
Wow.
And I was like,
And how old is he?
6.
Wow.
And I was like,
Where'd you go with
I was
that?
like, shit, yeah. I was like, I do, mate, yeah. I don't think I was when I was 6, so it's interesting that you're already there. And we had a like chat about it, but he had this boss question because he's still, do you know when you think about like getting inside their heads and you'd love to see where, like even do all that stuff when he, like your lad's like, where's the yellow towel? Oh, that's the one I want. What's going through his head? And he thinks, nah. He'd obviously been thinking about this because he's been going to kickboxing. So he went to his mum. Mum, do you know when I grow up? And she went, yeah. He said, what jobs are there that I could do where you can be a ninja? And I was like, that's a boss question, isn't it? So he's sitting there thinking, yeah, well, we were like, what, like an assassin? Because I think he'd be into that. But imagine that, like, he ends up something when he's older where he can be a ninja.
I love that, though.
You would always ask about that.
I love that, like, because it's funny enough, I had like a similar conversation where it was like, you know, Ollie's ma was saying to me, like, you know, what, like, obviously he's got like a personality now, hasn't he? You know what I mean? He's got like traits and all that you can see building, albeit that, you know, like formative. And she was like, you know, what do you think he'll be? What do you think he'll do? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like I said, you know, he's quite like combative. He's quite like, you know, and I imagine him like being into sports and stuff like that. Maybe that's just like, you know, me projecting. And then, you know, when we were talking about like, you know, maybe you do this or maybe you do that. And then I just said that, I just threw it out there because as we were having the conversation, I said, what you want to be when you grow up? Do you know what job you want to do? And like, you could see him like, he's like playing with his toys, but like thinking about it. And he just went like dead sincere, just went like, Iron Man. And I was like, you want to be Iron Man? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to be Iron Man. And I said, well,
I like that. I like the way he said it like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be.
Yeah.
It's sorted. Don't you worry about it.
Well, I even said to him, I just thought, I'll go with this. Like, so I just said, well, everyone needs money, you know, Oliver, to live like. And I said, I'm not sure by being Iron, how are you going to make money if you're Iron Man? And he's like, superheroes don't need money. the absolute certainty of it, though. And you're just like, and like, you're almost going, oh yeah, oh yeah, fair.
Yeah, Joe, the dangerous thing about that though is because I got into all the Avengers stuff during COVID, and Iron Man's possibly my favourite now. Wait till he gets old enough to realise that Tony Stark made his money by being an arms dealer.
I know, I know.
You and his mum when he's old, he'd be like, well, he's become an arms dealer, but he did tell us in a roundabout way when he was 3 that he would do that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's brilliant. We'll throw this in just because you've mentioned it already, and I won't skip past it. This is a mad one that I've just started putting my phone as I'm going through my week. When something happens, I'm just putting it in my phone as like on for me agenda for the next time. And this came up because we mentioned it when someone asked about me drinking hot drinks the other week, and I was like, oh, do you know what? Someone asked about Bovril, and I was like, I'm not sure I've ever tasted Bovril. I definitely haven't tasted it recently. And I'm always, whenever there's anything from when I was younger, because I was dead fussy when I was a kid. So whenever there's anything that crops up that like, oh, I don't like that, I was questioning it now and go, when did I last eat it though? When did I last try it? And it was funny because it was the eldest lad again a couple of weeks ago, said we were in the shop. He came to the shop with me. And we're getting stuff, and his mum would give him a list to remember and all that. And when we were in there, I was like, so then you want? And he went, I want some marmalade. And I was like, that's a mad request for a 6-year-old. How come? And it obviously like Paddington, like wants a bit of marmalade. So we got him some. But then the other week, I was making like some supper, and I went, what do you want? And he went, I want cheese on toast with jam on it. And I was like, okay.
I've never had that, but I've heard of that before.
Yeah, oh, have you? I've never heard of it, but I thought, do you know when you're like, I'm not convinced it works, because he hasn't got his head around the fact yet that some things go together and some things don't. So I made him one piece, because I knew like if I put it 2 pieces and he didn't eat it, I'm going to have to make him a whole new set here. So I did him one piece with jam and cheese on, and one piece without, and left the other one in the kitchen. And just try that first and see if you like it. And he did that thing where you're like, I'm not convinced by this. And I was, well, I haven't put jam on the other one yet. Do you want me to just leave that as cheese? And he's like, yeah. So when he asked me for marmalade, I was like, well, we'll see. But that's why I thought of it, because in my head, I don't like marmalade. That's my story. But I was like, same thing. I was like, but when was the last time I had it? So I started making him marmalade on toast, but because he asked for it. So I did the same thing, made him one piece first. And thought, but as I was making it, I was like, this is fucking disgusting.
I thought it was all leading up to you saying, and it was absolutely boss. No,
it was like,
not having it.
No.
I don't mind it.
Are you into it?
I don't actively buy it, but I think the last time I had it was Sam of Anfield Rap fame.
Oh yeah.
His mom makes like jams and marmalades and stuff like that.
Does she like homemade stuff?
And so he gave me a jar of marmalade, and it was good. Smashed it like
homemade,
good.
Yeah.
But then I haven't gone back to it. I haven't gone and bought more. Don't really eat jam neither, to be honest.
No.
My nan smashes jam. And I'm not sure about what she does with her jam, to be honest. But I mean, she's 101 years old, so she can do what the fuck she likes, can't she? But she has, and it must be a lot because I'm constantly having to buy more jars. She has as her staple every morning, shredded wheat with jam on it, with milk on it.
That's wild, isn't it?
I know. I can't get my head around that, and I'm not trying it.
Does she change the type of jam?
No, she moans if it's not the right jam. So I've tried to change up the jam. So, but it's basically got it's preferably strawberry. She'll accept raspberry, but if I go like blackcurrant or anything like that, she's like, I don't really like that. Don't get that again. I'm like, oh, all right. I thought you might want to change it up. Like, so, you've been having exactly the same scratton for years. Like, but
that's a mad combo, isn't it?
No?
Milk with jam.
I know. I don't get it, but like I say, who am I to argue?
Yeah.
So it's what she wants, and she can have it.
100%. I had that conversation with my mum and dad years ago when they were looking after, like, one of their mates was getting on and getting sick and stuff, and getting a bit like, had a bit of dementia and stuff like that. And he was living in a home, and they'd go and see him, and he was like clearly in very bad health. Do you know what I mean? Like coming to the end of his time, and all he wanted to eat was jam butties. And my mum was like, "Yeah, but they're bad for him," and I was like,
Come this far.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, if he's got a year left, just let him eat jam butties.
It's like, not like a bottle of
Jack
or something, is it?
and what are we doing? By robbing him of jam butties, you're going to add a month to his life.
Yeah.
It's like the Billy Connolly line. I think we mentioned that before. It's hard. Have you seen that sketch? It does about like brown bread. It's like, yeah, but what they don't tell you is when they're saying it adds years to your life, they add the years on to the end.
Yeah.
They don't add them to your 20s.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a boss one. We're running out of time again. Almost out. But you know what? I'll do the... I can't remember if I've already shared this, but and I asked Rob about it, and he I can't fully remember either. But I'm going to share it because it was something I watched the other week, and it was really good. So I'm going to share it as a little mental health moment tip. And if I've already said it, then I'll say it again because it's a good one and it's worth repeating. Did I mention to you about this? It's an Australian guy. He sounds Dutch. Hugh van Cuylenberg, I think his name is. And a client of mine who's lived in Australia said he's actually quite famous in Australia because he started going around the schools. He talks about he's got a video on Prime, so you can find it, called GEM, GEM, and it's about gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. So some of it's he's good, he's funny, and some of it's better than others for like if you've done any of this stuff. Like he even joked in it, like someone was watching one of his things and said, "I'm going to leave halfway through because I only like the first bit you talk about." But he talks about being in India like years ago, India, like a place stricken with poverty, and everyone was dead happy. And he said, and yet Australia's got terrible mental health statistics, and that shouldn't be the case on the face of it. They've got a good lifestyle, they're outdoors all the time, and so anyway, he's spent years studying this, but he said something which I really like because I've heard this so many times over the years, and I've never liked it, about a gratitude practice. And the gratitude practice to me, and he said the exact same thing, which sort of brought me into it even more. Gratitude practices, when people say be grateful, you be happy. It's always like, you sit down at the end of the day and you go, I'm grateful for me kids, I'm grateful for me house, I'm grateful for me job. And then the next day you go, I'm grateful for me dog, I'm grateful for me wife, I'm grateful for me kids. And then the next day you go, I'm grateful for me job, I'm grateful for me mates. And by the end of the week, you just like, I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. It doesn't make any difference. But he gave this thing and he said it's really good. He said instead of that, Instead of thinking of things you're grateful for, at the end of every day, just think of 3 things that went well today. And it can be anything, like very small. We may have, as I'm saying this out loud now, I'm thinking we may have talked about this. But I did it for a month, and I was only thinking last night, I've stopped, so I'm reminding myself by saying it again. Because it's boss, because instead of trying to find things you're grateful for, by saying something that went well, you're automatically grateful for it. And what you're doing, he said, if you do it for a month, you're training your brain to look for positive things in your day. So instead of the old shitty brain looking for danger all the time and negative stuff, it starts. That's time up. It starts. You train it to look for good stuff. So, as I say, if I have said that before, it's worth repeating because I'm reminding myself it works. Like if I've noticed that, because if you keep it going, your brain starts to look for it because it knows you're going to ask it at the end of the day, like what went well today. Do you know what I mean?
Well, the reason I'm on my phone is I'm not being ignorant. I was actually looking to try and find what the app was called, but it's come to me speaking and I haven't found it, so sorry. But I believe, because I had it, so maybe it's gone, but it was there once upon a time. There was literally an app for that, whereby all it was dead basic. It was just like at the end of each day, you know, you set it so it asked you, and then you typed in 3 good things. That was it. And I did it for a while, and it is good, and it can just be like, I mean, I did it with a notebook as well. Like I said, I absolutely love notebooks, and I love lists and all that kind of stuff. And I had it was you who said to do it, actually, in a conversation we had. I just had a book, and I called it Boss Things. And so anytime anything happened that was good, I just wrote it down. And it was like, and then every now and again, I'd just read some of it back, and I go, oh yeah, that was good, wasn't it? And like, if you're just like spiraling and like being negative and constantly having negative thoughts, I think reminding yourselves of just little things that are good is a boss thing. And so like, yeah, I had my Boss Things book, and I had the 3 Good Things app. And like, I remember reading the book back, and like I say, just stuff that you completely forget about that are just like day to day. I can remember walking home once, and like I'd purposely like got off almost like the station before, you know, that old chestnut, so that you force yourself to get some steps in by walking home. And I was doing that. And so I'm walking back to mine, and this van went past, did like a U-E and come back again. And window goes down, like, and it was these 2 fellas who've never met in my life, and they were like, Robbo? And I was like, all right, lads, yeah, what? And they were like, listen to all the stuff, just wanted to say, like, you know, you think your stuff's boss, and that thing you did was great, and this was boss, and all that. And that was it, really. Just, we saw you, I thought it was you, we thought we'd come back and say. And I was
That's nice, isn't it?
Nice, lad, nice one. That's really, you know, that's boss, that. So I wrote that down in the book, and I'd forgot about it. And then I read back, seeing it again, thought, I remember that was good, wasn't it? I was going to talk about, or going to ask you about something. We'll have to do it another time, or maybe not, because it might be a bit neggy. I was going to ask you about something that I thought around mental health, but it's not positive. So, if we've done the time, let's leave it on a light note.
Yeah, leave it for next time.
Yeah,
let's put that in the middle of a show, because yeah, we're basically done. That's it for another week of fun and frolicment. Frolicment's a word. That's it. I've just made up a word, haven't I? Frivolity, frolicking.
No frolicking, babe. Not yet. You've only just called me babe for the first time tonight.
Babe, what a night! When you start your shows calling your mate and co-host babe, you know it's gonna be a good night. That's it. We're done. Thanks as always for joining us. If you like this, which I'm guessing you do, if you're paying to watch us, spread the word. Tell your mates. Join the fantasy football thing. You might as well if you're in here with us, because you can win some dough. And who knows, even if you're shit at this sort of stuff like me, you might have a good month just by chance and win some money. And it'll give us something to have a chat about and have a laugh about. And maybe we'll go back and watch some fantasy football Skinner and Badil style and get some ideas from them. Maybe we should get a stato on.
Yeah. Bring a stato into the studio and
shout, wouldn't it?
Hit us with some stats.
Yeah. That's it. Thanks for joining us. Love you. See you next week.